If we were to pour E85 in there, it doesn't even matter what fuel. If we were to drain that fuel tank and put whatever, it could be 93, it could be freaking Jesus piss. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on Proven Power Cycles. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric. I am the tuner here at Proven Power Cycles, or one of, I should say. We got Sean and Lewis in the backs working on a couple of turbo builds and a couple of engines. So today, on today's vlog, I'm going to kind of cover over what we just recently accomplished, which has been pretty damn cool. For those of you guys who follow us on YouTube pretty religiously, we had some YouTube shorts that we posted recently that got a lot of traction, a lot of attention. They were a couple of the turbo builds that we just got wrapped up. Now, we're not 100% done with them, but they saw the dyno, and we wrapped them up on the dyno. And they made some good power considering what all is in them. So the first thing, the main thing that I really want to target is the 05 GSXR 1000 turbo build that we've been doing now for quite a while. We hit a few snags. It is very difficult to source some of the parts for an 05 GSXR 1000 because it's just kind of getting dated now. It's getting older. It's a 20-year-old bike. So finding some of these parts has been a challenge. However, we got done. We took the bike down to Johnny's. And now I wanted to go over something with you guys really quickly. I wanted to talk about why we were at Johnny's. So, because I had a couple of comments on the YouTube short that was like, why would you take the bikes down to Johnny's to dyno them? All right, we get it. There are quite a few reasons why. Two of the reasons are, or two things about it are the Busa, the motor for the Busa. We took down a turbo Hayabusa that we're doing a build on for a customer. And then we have our turbo 05 GSXR 1000 that we put together, okay? The 05 GSXR 1000 already had the engine built. We looked inside that motor and we borescoped it. We looked at the head gasket's really thick. We borescoped it. We were like, all right, there's some stuff in this motor. So we kind of already had an idea it could take some power. We didn't know how much. We didn't know the grand scope of things. And given the budget, the horsepower goal, and what the customer wanted, that's what we wanted to hit. All right. So you guys got to remember, anytime somebody calls up, anytime a customer calls up, and we go through the build process with them, okay? Price escalates pretty quickly the more stuff you want done, obviously. So it's not free to do a lot of this stuff. And when you start talking about building the motor, doing a badass turbo kit, and doing all these things, that price escalates very quickly. And everybody has a budget, okay? I'm gonna say that up front right now. I have a budget, Sean has a budget, we all have a budget, okay? Don't be fooled, by these Instagram people or whatever you guys are following. Don't be fooled, all right? Everybody's balling on a budget. That's like my big joke that I tell everyone. Whenever they're kind of like hesitant on telling me what they're working with, I'm like, look, we're all balling on a budget. Just let's be real with each other. Give me your numbers so that way we can kind of get you built and get you what you want based on how much you're working with, okay? So our job, me and Sean, when we pick up the phone, our job is to navigate you guys correctly based on your budget and your goal, okay? I'm gonna say that first and foremost, okay? With that being said, the customer that had the 05 GSXR 1000 turbo, Suzuki Turbo GSXR 1000, he wanted 300 horsepower and he had X amount of budget, right? We're not gonna go over all that right now, but he wanted 300 horsepower, okay? And he wanted the bike to get dressed up. There was a lot of things on the bike that were dated, they were aged. It was older, and it was used, you could tell it was used with older components. It was really nice. It was well put together. It was just older. It was dated, and it needed to be gone through, okay? We found a lot of little issues. We fixed those issues where we have his plastics are getting painted. The tank is getting painted. All of these components are getting painted to adhere to the customer, to what he wanted. So the reason why we went down to Johnny's is we didn't know what was done to the motor, and Johnny has a ton of turbo experience. He can gauge and see how the bike is responding, how it's acting on the dyno, and go, all right, hey, it wants more, we can give it more. I don't necessarily have that full experience yet where I can say confidently, like, yeah, this bike, let's push it, let's put another pound on it, let's put another pound, let's put another pound, let's put another pound. I haven't been through that process yet. We've done it where we've made, high twos, low threes, stuff like that. But again, we wanted Johnny's expertise, and we didn't know if Johnny put that turbo motor together or not. Now on the Busa, because we did this all in the same night when we were down at Johnny's, with the Busa, he did build that motor, and that was part of a turbo kit that was all a part of his original build. So we wanted to take that one down there just in case if we had any issues like engine issues or turbo issues, that he could sit there with us and figure it out with us and say, oh, okay, hey, I'm noticing this. So luckily we had zero issues with either bike. They went smooth as butter, and that's primarily because Sean took the time to sit there and go through this stuff with a fine tooth and comb and make sure that, hey, when we see the dyno and we get the bikes on the dyno, we're not going to have any major, mechanical problems. Now, there's always a risk of something going wrong. Nothing is perfect in this world, but again, we try to minimize those risks. So not only that, but our neighbors keep threatening to call the cops on us because of the sound ordinance, which legally we're still within our right to do what we're doing. We just don't want the unwanted attention. So we're coming up with a new plan to move the dyno, and we're going to move it into another room now to try and quiet it down so that we can just kind of ease the tension between everybody around here. It's kind of a common trend that happens with wherever I move. The dyno is very loud. It's an annoying issue. So it's one thing that we're working on actively transitioning it and moving it and making it quieter for everybody. So that's our major goal right now. And again, and besides that, me and Sean, we love Johnny. He's a great dude. We love going down there and hanging out with him. So we also dropped off 5 cylinder heads for him to machine for us. We helped Johnny with some Max ECU things. So for those of you who do follow our channel, we've created this Max Mini kind of kit with these turbo builds now. We're building custom wiring harnesses to work with the Max Mini to where you guys can retain your stock gauge cluster. And it kind of acts like a full standalone a little bit. So we give it full control of a few of these functions so that you guys, again, can retain the stock cluster, and you kind of get the advantage of a full standalone ECU without having all the options of the full standalone and without spending all that kind of money. Some of these full standalone ECUs, you're going to be out $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on some of these just standalone ECU kits. And we're trying to minimize that cost for everybody while still giving them a great product and an awesome product, I should say, for turbo, nitrous, all motor applications. So, but we're going to kind of go over the bike. We did take some video footage while we were at Johnny's. So guys, we do have, now the last thing we're waiting on right now until we put our final stamp on this thing is the painters, okay? We had an issue with the right side fairing. We purchased new right side fairings. Well, not new, but new to us. We sent them over to the painter, and there was some damage done on them where they were like, hey, look, we're gonna be honest with you. There's some damage, there's cracks, there's burn marks, stuff that we can't really fix. So we had to source another right side fairing, and it has been a bear. So for those of you who kind of know the market, these fairings, the right side fairing kit, it's going to run you about $1,500 if you try to buy it new, and that's if you can even find it. So there's a few places that sell it, but they're selling them $900 for one piece, and it's like $700 and something for the other piece. So stupid expensive right now to get fairings for this bike. So we're trying to keep our costs down and order used fairings, but it's hard to find these things because it's an older bike, and most of the fairings that you're finding are either jacked up or they're Chinese. So not a good look that we're going for. So we're trying to find a proper fairing kit, and we're piecing it all together. We found the last bit of the fairings, and we're going to get them off to the painters here any day now. But this bike did end at, it was like 325 actually. In the video, you see it says 316. But we actually did a couple more runs, and it ended at 325. So very, very happy with this bike, with its results. Again, the owner only wanted 300 horsepower. We ended at 325. We don't know what's done to the motor, but everything is holding amazing. The bike sounds incredible. It is definitely one of my favorite builds so far on a 1000 platform. So considering it made 320s on an 05, and it's going to drive like a completely normal street bike. That to me is bar none. That's badass. You know, you don't find that every day on the street. So very, very happy with the results that this bike produced. So stay on the lookout for this. Once it's all done painted, guys, we'll give you an update. We'll give you a final walkthrough of the bike before the owner comes and picks it up. We'll let him go for a ride, and hopefully he'll be okay with hopefully he brings his gear and everything so he can go ride the bike a little bit and make sure everything looks good before he takes it. And then what we'll do is we'll try to get him on video, and we'll try to get his honest opinion on it and his review on it. But I have a feeling he's not even going to get out of low boost. So we have the a map switch in here that gives you a high boost option. So you'll be able to ride around low boost all day long, whatever you want to do. You flip the switch, you're in high boost, you got full 325. So I think low boost, we ended around 350 if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to give him that option and let him decide what he wants to play with. So it's gonna be a handful no matter what. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So he's gonna be pretty ecstatic, I feel like, once he goes for a ride and it rips him to the back of that seat. We didn't do a featured video on this because this build took so long. Admittedly, we just kind of kept sneaking it into our vlog footage. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and just keep continuing that for right now. We'll show you guys the final product once we're finished with this. We'll show you guys once it all comes back from paint and all dressed up. It's gonna look incredible. It's gonna look so good. I cannot wait to get this thing dressed up. Another build that we have going on, and this one we will be doing a featured video on. So same kind of song and dance, where this guy has a particular budget. And just as a reminder, I love and I'm not saying this to poke fun at the owner, okay? I'm not going over this, and I'm not saying this to say like, he's dumb or whatever. That's not what my goal is. But this happens quite often, where people are calling us and they're like, hey, I just want this. And then we see the bike and we're like, dude, no, you need a lot more than what you're requesting, right? So he had been calling us for a couple of months, trying to get in the doors, right? He was calling us, and we were like, look, buddy, we are backed up. We got all these builds going on. We want to get you in, but we just don't have the time right now. Call back in a couple of weeks or a month or so. So we did. And we did this for about 2 months all in all. We finally took the bike in, and we were going through the bike, as you guys well aware. And it's pretty bad. It's really bad. As you guys can see, the fuel system is jacked up, okay? If we were to pour E85 there, it doesn't even matter what fuel. If we were to drain that fuel tank and put whatever, it could be 93, it could be freaking Jesus piss. It doesn't matter. Whatever we put into that, it could be holy water. It does not matter. Whatever we put into that fuel tank, all that rust, all that gunk would have gone straight to the system and would have jacked this motor up, okay? So currently we have the engine apart and all that jazz. And this is how the bike is sitting now. So like I said, we're gonna do a featured video on this, but we got it all stripped down. We're gonna take it outside here soon as we get the electronics all off of the bike. And what we're gonna do is we're going to blast this whole bike. We're gonna spray it all down. We're gonna get all this dust off of it. We're gonna clean off the harness. We're gonna go through this thing, like I said, with a fine tooth, and actually go through. And there's gunk, there's grease, all down in here. We got grease and crud built up. There's just a bunch of crap on this bike that we gotta get cleaned up and we gotta get cleaned off. So. It's aged, it's got a lot of age on this thing, and it's got a lot of components on it that we need to fix. So like I said, I'm just going to go in brief over this bike because we do have a build series going on with this, and I want you guys to check that video out when we're finished. I just wanted to highlight it very quickly for you guys, okay? Next week, be on the lookout. We are going to, we got a few things actually going on. So we're gonna head to the track this Thursday, and we should be, we're gonna bring a couple of different bikes with us. So we're gonna bring, we got our super stock bike, not the ZX10, but we have Sean's Gixxer 1000. So we're gonna take that to the track this Thursday. We're gonna take, we have the yellow Busa on spray with a Gen 2 lockup. So we're gonna get that thing we're kind of tweaking that. That's just kind of a play bike, a fun bike that honestly Sean had put together. And so I'm gonna go ahead and jockey some of that and get some data for him, and so we can kind of collaborate on it and come up with a plan for that bike. And then we are going to take Vixen, so that's the turbo booster that we're going to take that one there. We're going to do some shakedown. So there's some things in the mapping that were found that were kind of concerning. So we're going to make some adjustments, or we made some adjustments. And then after that, we're going to analyze that data from the run and just kind of see what's going on with the bike and keep going from there. And we have the turbo budget build booster. We don't really know what to call it, but it's just that's kind of what we labeled it as, even though, there's definitely some good money that was in on that bike, but the gentleman that bought it, we're taking some of the components off of his current Gen 1 Busa and putting it onto that Busa. So some of the things that you guys see on that bike, they are not necessarily sourced or bought. I wouldn't say sourced, but they were sourced, but they weren't necessarily purchased. So we're going to be able to utilize some of those parts and put them onto this other bike and roll with it. So we're going to take that one to the track as well, do some data logging and some testing on that. We should see a mid to low 8-second. We should see a low 8-second pass on that bike. So on the high boost mapping. So anyway, we're going to have that all in the other video. We're going to do a budget build Busa video for you guys from start to finish to show you guys how we did that. That is running the Max Mini ECU that me and Sean have been kind of going back, and Frank over at Splice Racing. We've all been kind of working together and figuring this system out to make these things work for the turbo bikes. So we're going to be testing that bike as well. So we've got about 5 bikes that we're going to be testing this Thursday. So stay on the lookout, guys. We're getting ready for the track. I've got a bike I got to actually get on the dyno with now and keep things moving here at the shop. So as always, we really appreciate the support. Thank you so much, guys. We really, really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Keep your eye out on the shop. We have some big things coming, some big builds coming, some really cool stuff coming up. We really want you guys to see what we got going on here. Thank you guys who are loyal and who have been with us since the beginning. Again, we can't show you enough appreciation. We really love you guys. We really appreciate the support again. So thank you as always. For those of you who are new to the channel, smash that like and subscribe button if you can already, if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below if you haven't already. Tell us what you think about the builds going on. Tell us what you think about the shop in general. Our crack house shop. It's a trap house. So we've been fixing it up, but all in due time. We all like to joke too and joke about it. So, but anyway, guys, thank you again. We'll see you on another episode.